Hello again and welcome back to The Front Row, a minor production of the First Congregational Church in South Pekin, where our intent is to bring snippets from our Sunday morning message into your week. This week we are talking about the spiritual discipline of fasting in the midst of our series on the disciplined life, pulled out of a book by Richard Foster called Celebration of Discipline. Over the last couple days we have talked about at least two reasons, today's the third, but a couple reasons why we should bring fasting back into the norm as a part of our spiritual disciplines, our spiritual life. We talked about we need to be reminded that we are called to a life of self-sacrifice. We also need better balance in our lives between in the affluent society that we live. How do we be more conscious and bring balance and not live to the extreme just because we feel like we have the freedom to do so? Today, I want to talk about a third why, and that has to do with our need for spiritual sustenance. Fasting is a means to a better understanding of our need for spiritual sustenance. You see, food is really all about maintaining our physical bodies. But have you ever been in a situation, now this doesn't happen to me very often, but have you ever talked to someone or been in that situation yourself where you're so wrapped up in what you're doing, so bent on a particular cause or a project that you forgot to eat? Now, personally, I don't think I've ever been in that situation where I just literally forgot to eat. If I didn't eat, it was on purpose. But if you've ever been there, it's because your spirit was so fulfilled and engaged in what you were doing that sustenance superseded your body's need for physical sustenance. And so fasting is a means for us to get a feel for what that looks like from a spiritual perspective, not wrapped up in a little means or a cause or a purpose that's just about getting the project done, but raising our spiritual awareness to understanding that there is food beyond food. Jesus spoke to this. He had been in an intense season of ministry. He had spoken to thousands. He had just had this, I believe it was time with the woman at the well, but he had just had this conversation with a woman, and she had left to go and talk to others about Jesus. And the disciples were entering in. And we're going to pick up the story in John chapter 4. But the disciples came in and they realized that Jesus hasn't eaten for a while. And it says that meanwhile, his disciples urged him, "Rabbi, eat something." They could tell he was hungry. But Jesus said to them, "I have food to eat that you know nothing about." And this went completely over the heads of the disciples. Then the disciples said to each other, "Could someone have brought him food? Is he eating food that we don't know about? Did he sneak into the Wendy's? Is there a food wrapper around here that we don't see?" They were so fixated on physical food. And then Jesus said, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work." Now, we know Jesus ate. When he came out of the 40 days in the desert, he was hungry. We know that he ate. He was physically man. But what he was saying to the disciples here was there's food beyond food. And fasting is a means to our realization that there is food beyond food, that we have something deep within us that desires and craves spiritual sustenance. And when we deny ourselves physical sustenance, it awakens those cravings and those needs and the value of spiritual sustenance, where we are drawn closer to God in relationship and in appreciation and in need for his nourishment and his nourishment alone. Now, again, we are just scratching the surface of this. I am not even unpacking these points to their fullness. There is so much more that we could talk about, but we only have time to just dip our toes in the water of these spiritual disciplines. I hope you will take some of these thoughts and dig a bit deeper, particularly in this one. This is a lost discipline in the majority of the church today. And I would encourage you to give it serious consideration. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Blessings to you. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.